Hi, welcome folks. Today we'll be discussing utility extreme heat shutoff moratorium reporting portal, and we'll be going over some new features that we have. My name is Aaron. I'm at the Department of Commerce and I'm an energy data specialist, and I'm joined by Austin. Austin, do you want to quickly introduce yourself?
Hello, everyone. Good to see some familiar names. I'm Austin Sharp, a Senior Energy Policy Specialist here at the Department of Commerce.
All right. For today's agenda, we'll just do a quick overview of the law, and we'll do a walkthrough of new features, and then we'll have time at the end for questions. So a quick overview of the law. For some background, in 2023, the Washington legislature passed House Bill 1329. The law prevents utility shutoffs for non-payment during extreme heat. The law requires publicly owned electric and water utilities to report to the Department of Commerce disconnections that occurred when the National Weather Service issued or announced a heat-related alert for the utility service area. Utilities are required to inform previously disconnected customers due to non-payment of their ability to seek reconnection during a National Weather Service heat-related alert and make a reasonable attempt to reconnect service once requested. The utility may require a repayment plan. So who is required to submit a report? These are publicly owned electric utilities with more than 25,000 customers, publicly owned water utilities with more than 2,500 customers, irrigation districts with more than 25,000 electric customers or 2,500 other customers, or other publicly owned utilities at the request of Commerce. We have not requested further utilities to report other than the ones listed above. The deadline for reports for this year is December 1, 2025. So now we'll do a quick walkthrough of new features. Last year, we went through a walkthrough of the reporting portal in detail. And if you're interested in looking at that or looking at guidance, you can visit our website and look at the Department of Commerce's website on extreme heat utility shutoff moratorium. And so that walkthrough goes through in more detail how to access Secure Access Washington and how the portal works. For today, we're going to focus our efforts mainly on some of the new features. So for the new features, we added a note section for each household disconnection reconnection record. This was requested by some utilities that wanted to add some nuance to some of their reports. We also added an API ID information for each heat advisory card. This allows utilities to trace back the ones that are suggested or that kind of pop up on the left for utilities in the reporting portal and allow utilities to cross-reference with their own records. We also added a new page that allows utilities to see all past since 2024 and currently in effect heat alerts retrieved by the portal from the National Weather Services API. So ever since the portal was created in 2024, we stored the records of the National Weather Service heat alerts. However, if you were to look at the API right now, it only stores the past few weeks or so of heat alerts, and then it goes away. And so this would allow utilities that haven't been as rigorous in their tracking to take a look back at some of the historical records. We also added export Excel function to the heat advisories and utility dashboard data tables. This allows utilities to use the reporting portal for their own tracking purposes. Some of the data that they report, they can export for their own analysis or for other purposes. And we also shared a Excel forecast zone uh, document with utilities. Please do not mix up public forecast zones with county zones in the National Weather Service alerts. So for the definition of public forecast zones, the National Weather Service issues forecasts and some watches and warnings for public zones, which usually are the same as counties, but in many cases are subsets of counties. Counties are subset into zones to allow for more accurate forecasts because of the differences in weather within a county due to such things as elevation or proximity. So if you were to look at the National Weather Service, you can see that I circled here public zones. That is what you would be comparing in terms of the alerts to what's in the reporting portal, not the county zones. So the county zones will have a completely different code, and you won't be able to match one to one. So I just wanted to share that note because I got a question about that. So I did a brief walkthrough of the changes. I can share my screen and kind of show you more what they look like, and then we can go over questions. So I'm going to switch. So when you log into Secure Access Washington, you should, the first step would be to add a new service. Of course, if you haven't added the extreme heat shutoff moratorium reporting, which you should have already, but you would click add service and you look up, let's see here. You would look up the utility extreme heat shutoff moratorium
Sorry,
reporting.
Aaron. We're
Mhm.
still seeing the new features slide from Austin, or at least I am. I'm not seeing the portal that you said you were going to pull up.
Sorry, 1 second.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for flagging that. I got multiple screens, so there we go. Are you able to see the Secure Access Washington website?
Yep, there we go. Thank you.
Okay. So this is what it would look like once you log into Secure Access Washington. As I mentioned, you would add a new service. If you don't already have this utility extreme heat shutoff moratorium reporting, you'd go look for it. You'd add the service, and then once you've been approved, you would have it pop up right here. So I'm going to click Access Now, and this would go into your utility portal. So here I have a made up utility, Bud Inlet, and you can see on the left, there's the past advisories for 2025. And you can see if you click this right here, you'll be able to see the API ID, and you can copy and paste this if you like, and compare it to your records. So here you can see a description from the National Weather Service API, but you can also get the ID down here now. And then, as I mentioned previously, you can now add notes. So down here, there's notes that you can add about a record. So let's name this. You can also create a custom advisory. So if you're not seeing the heat advisory that you would like to report on over on the left here, then you can create your own custom advisory. So you can do that two ways. You can do it from here, create custom, or you can do it from this top right here. Some other things we did, just a very slight change is we kind of changed some of the fields that are required. That's just a very small thing, but utilities must report on disconnections that occurred during a National Weather Service heat alert, but they also must report on reconnections that occurred when a customer requests for a reconnection around a National Weather Service heat alert, but they're previously disconnected due to non-payment. So a utility could have maybe been disconnected back in May 1, and they may have requested something. Let's say there was a heat advisory on August 4. Let's say there's a heat advisory on August 4, and it ended August 5th. And I'm just going to make up some data right here. So let's say the utility got a request on August 4 for the heat advisory on August 4, and this customer was previously disconnected on May 1 due to non-payment, and there was no heat alert back then. Now we changed some of the requirements, the reporting requirements in the portal, so that like if a utility got a request but they didn't actually reconnect the customer, they would be able to still report that. If they did reconnect the customer, they can also still report that. But previously there were some restrictions that didn't allow for this level of detail. So let's say you reconnected the customer on August 5th. You provide a payment plan of 6%, and then you can add some notes. But so you could save the changes there, and now it'll show up as a record. If you didn't reconnect the customer, you could also not report this, and it will now allow you to. It should now allow you to still save that. So that's just some nuance there. Let's see. Another feature that we added are heat advisories. So utilities now have access to the historical record since the portal was created in 2024. So you can select the report year. So you can see the 2024 heat advisories as well as the 2025 heat advisories. You can see the ID status, the dates, the severity, the headline description, forecast zones, and the API ID. As I mentioned, I provided utilities with a forecast zone document, and this forecast zone document has the list of zip codes that utilities provided in their utility settings. So every utility should have provided us zip codes, and we matched those zip codes to certain forecast zones. And it also has latitude, longitude, city, and county. And so now if utilities wanted to, they could do some data wrangling and analysis, and they could connect the forecast zones from this forecast zones Excel workbook, and they could connect it with this Excel document here. And so how you would do that is you'd first need to export this grid to Excel. So this is another new feature, is you can export the grid here to Excel. You can also export this grid to Excel. So you just click this button. It shows up in your downloads. And it'll just look like the same thing, except this time you can maneuver it, you can clean it, you can transform the data, and you can relate it to the other forecast zone workbook and do some analysis if you'd like.
Hey, Aaron, we have a couple questions.
Okay.
One was simply a request to have the PowerPoint slide on the web page, and we can do that. The second was, is it okay to apply for access to the reporting tool even if the utility has less than the required number of customers and is exempt from reporting? They would like to be familiar with the tool.
Yeah, I think we can grant the utility access to the reporting tool if you have less than 25,000 customers. Um, yeah, you would just need to go through the same process on our website. You can request access through the smart sheet, and you'd have to create a secure access Washington account, and then make sure you provide us the same email you registered with secure access onto Smartsheet. And please do use like your work email because there are a lot of folks that use Secure Access Washington for other things, for other services for their personal lives. And a lot of the issues that we run into are basically users that are using their personal accounts and they're unable to access because of that. So please do like create a new Secure Access Washington account for your utility. Um, so that you don't mix it with your personal account and your information. Um, Hopefully that answers the questions there. Are there any more?
Yeah, we have a question that is, if the utility previously disconnected someone, do they have to go back in time and reach out to folks who were previously disconnected and didn't pay or call for reconnection? Or do they only need to report if someone previously disconnected contacted the utility and asked to be reconnected?
So the question is, um, so
Is that
utilities are required to let customers know ahead of time that this option that they have the ability to reconnect the customer. So let me see if I can find it in the PowerPoint slide. It might not be in this PowerPoint slide. Um, Utilities are required to inform previously disconnected customers due to non-payment of their ability to seek reconnection and make a reasonable attempt to reconnect once services request. There's more details in the statute, but utilities are required to inform them at some point. Um, I believe I'll have to double check the statute to know in greater detail. But I believe the statute says they have to notify them like at some point before the kind of the summer season. I don't think you have to inform them like in real time. But I think you'd have to look more closely at the statute. We can get back to you or you can take a look at the statute to try and get a better look at the details there.
my recollection, which is a bit faded, is that um, you need to have the way I always imagined it playing out was the utility would provide, a disclaimer that, in the case of this, in the case of extreme heat, warning that, the customers are entitled to be seek reconnection if they were disconnected previously due to non-payment. And then the reporting is not, that notice. The reporting is simply that, we had a customer reach out to be reconnected after being disconnected due to non-payment. And then the reporting follows from that. Does that answer your question, Jackie?
Yes, I think so.
Okay.
Okay.
Next question is, do we continue to use the Excel spreadsheet as well, or can we just use the SAW portal?
So we would prefer that you use the portal 2024, 2025 and onward. For 2023, we had an Excel workbook. But this portal, as I've mentioned, has more features that you can use. And it just has been more refined, and as we've discussed, we've added new features. So please do use the portal to report. That is how we would like you to submit your workbooks. So what will happen in October, September, December is you will see a submission button that will pop up on the top right of this utility dashboard page. That will allow the utility to submit their disconnection and reconnection records. So yes, please do use the portal to report your disconnections and reconnections.
Okay, we got two more questions. We have suspended shutoffs during the summer? Do we still have to report 0 shutoffs? If so, what does that process look like?
Right. So if you didn't have any disconnections or reconnections, this dashboard would be blank. And you would still be able to submit your report. So that's how we would know that you had no disconnections or reconnections. The submit report will just have a description that says, I've verified all these records, I've made sure, and so we'll know that you reviewed your information and that you had nothing to report, and then we'll be good on that end. If your utility has a policy of not disconnecting customers between certain dates, you can add that to your basic information in the utility settings. But if you don't and you just had nothing to report, you can just submit pretty much a blank report.
And so for JR, I think the key thing there is if you have a policy of not disconnecting anyone during extreme heat, it still could be the case that someone seeks reconnection because they were disconnected due to non-payment before the moratorium, in which case you would report the reconnection request information. And if you didn't have anyone report any of the reconnection requests, you'd follow the process that Aaron described.
Yeah.
For John, if we have notified customers as required, but nobody requests reconnection, should we report null, or would we not report anything in that circumstance? And I believe, John, that was the question that Aaron just answered. So I think we can move on, Aaron.
Okay. The other thing I was gonna show you was you can export this disconnection and reconnection reporting into Excel as well. And I just wanted to show you what it looks like. You'll see that it looks pretty similar, and you'll just have this data for your own records if you'd like. I think those are the major changes that I listed. Let's see if I had anything else. APID, past alerts, export to Excel, notes. I can show you what I'm referencing here. So if you go to National Weather Service alerts, alerts.weather.gov, you can search by land area. And then you can then go to Washington and you'll see public zones and county zones. You want to click on public zones if you want to match them to the reporting portal that we have and the kind of the zones that we have. If you click county zones, you'll see like it's WAC 0 something. But if you click on land areas with zones, if you click on public zones, you'll see WAZ. So that's how you'll be able to match them. You can also search for a specific alert ID. And because we provided you with the API ID, you should be able to search. Should be able to search some of them. Some of them might not fully work. Sometimes they get updated and replaced. So if you do have your own list or records, you just have more flexibility now to be able to work with the reporting portal and compare it to your own records or do your own analysis. So we've just added some more flexibility in how you can use the portal for your own purposes. And this page is just describing public forecast zones, which is where I got the definition from. Right, I think that covers all the new features that we added. So I'll just leave the floor open to any further questions. Any other questions?
I do have a question. Who can you confirm or at least clarify who is allowed to request to have the service reconnection? For example, we have a very high level of rental properties or properties that are owned that are vacant, but someone who will call, but we can't connect them to the property in any way and request to have service restored year round, not just during a heat advisory. Would they be allowed to have us to say, yes, we can go out and restore it? Or do they have to show some tangible proof that they are connected to that property?
So as I recall in the statute, the household, if it's the first requirement is that they've been previously disconnected due to non-payment. So that would be the first piece. And then I believe the statute, says that the utility must, make, the best effort to make sure that that customer is reconnected in a timely manner. So I'm not sure if that helps you, but you want to make sure that one, it's a disconnection due to non-payment, and then the utility must take every best effort to try and get folks reconnected. During a lot of the discussion around the establishment of the law, there was a lot of concern about, hey, you need to, get them reconnected before the heat comes and everything gets way too hot, and there was, time specifications, a whole bunch of other things, but the law ended up pretty open-ended in terms of, what when the utility needs to establish reconnection of service, as well as all those different circumstances that may come up. The utility just needs to act in good faith, I think, to try and get folks reconnected as quickly as possible.
So just to confirm, example, a property has been shut off for 6 months to a year due to non-payment. A person calls on the phone who is not the property owner They're not a property manager. They're not a registered tenant. They're just some random person that calls and says, can you please restore service at this address because of the heat advisory? Can we say, no, we must speak to the property owner or someone actually tied to the property? Or are we required to just turn it on regardless of who this person is? They could be a potential squatter and the owner has no idea who they are.
So I'd have to look through the whole statute, but the statute uses a residential user at whose dwelling the utility service has been disconnected. So I would look into that. To me, it would definitely be the case that it would, be the person whose name is on the account at the property. But you will want to check that with your team.
Yeah, it looks like there's some mention about including tenants of metered apartment buildings and residents of mobile homes. So you might want to take a look at that page 8 of the bill that I linked in the comments. It does look like they talk about mobile home residents of mobile homes or tenants of metered apartment buildings. So I think they're you can take a closer look at that. It looks like the same still applies to those.
Yeah, so it can definitely be the tenant, but I don't see here how anyone could call up and request reconnection per se. Just looking at it here briefly. Any other questions about reporting in particular under the statute? If not, Aaron, do you have anything on deadlines and everything else, next steps for us?
Nope. As I mentioned, the reporting deadline is December 1, 2025. So you should be able to get a submit report feature that pops up on your utility dashboard in the next month or so. And if you don't have any records to report, you can leave it blank. Just verify all the information there and submit your report. If you do have information to report, you can fill out your utility dashboard and let us know if you have any questions. You can email me at aaron.tim@commerce.wa.gov. I'll put it in the chat. And yeah, thank you guys all. Thank you all for joining today. Feel free to email if you have any questions. And hope you guys have a good rest of your day.
Thank you,
Thank you all.
Austin and Aaron.
All right, thanks. Bye.